All right, we're live at Noble Park, and it's Saturday, July 31st, 2021, and we're here to interview Bobby Keeling, the great Bobby Keeling,
Oh, yeah.
the musician.
Yeah, fantastic.
Bobby, where were you born?
I was born right here in Paducah.
All right, where did you live in Paducah?
I lived down on 442 South 6th Street.
So that means you were probably kin to Bill and Junior
Cousins.
and Reuben.
Reuben, that was my dad's brother's kids.
Okay.
Reuben,
Yep.
Paul, baseball player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played softball with Reuben and his brothers.
Did you?
They were mean.
Well, that one, he had a pro contract with the Yankees.
Oh, okay.
And about the time he got that, they drafted him in the war. And he went to the war, and he come back. He wasn't the same guy. He was all messed up. And he eventually hung himself.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it was so bad. And man, he was a great baseball player. Wow. But that's the way it went, you
Yeah.
know.
So you grew up on the south side of Paducah. Where'd you go to school?
Franklin.
Okay.
I went to Lee School, grade school,
Okay.
if you remember that.
Yes, I do.
Been many moons ago.
And I remember climbing up into the fire escape
Oh, yeah.
at Franklin.
Yes, sir. I climbed it many times.
Yeah. Well, did you go to Tillman?
No, I didn't go to high school.
Okay.
I finished 7th grade, is what I finished.
Okay.
And run from a truant officer for 2 years, and I was okay.
When did you leave home?
Oh, man, that's a good question. A lot of years ago.
Was that when you went into the military?
No,
Okay.
yeah, I think it was when I went in. No, it wasn't. I was playing with Ray when I got drafted. I got drafted in 65,
Okay.
and I spent 2 years in there and then come back. And then started with him again, basically, after I come back from overseas. Yeah.
What branch did you serve in?
Army.
Okay.
I was drafted. Yeah.
Where were you stationed?
Stationed in Korea. Went to Vietnam, entertaining. I was entertaining in Korea too. But that was my base, was South Korea. And that's where I discharged from, South Korea.
Were you actually in the Army, an Army band?
No.
Okay.
No, we was in Camp Santa Barbara, is the name of the place. It's right up on the DMZ, the borderline of North Korea. And that's where we were stationed there. But I had some boys in there, you talking about pickers. Man, they was great. So we has formed a band, and the general that run the whole thing, he took a liking to me big time, liked my music. Knock on wood here. But anyway, he put me down at the officers club 7 nights a week, playing for him. And then got ready. He left before I did. And he begged me to go with him, and I'd stay his whatever and make a career out of it. I said, no, can't do that. I said, I've got to get back to my music. So I went ahead and come on out. And then when I come back, Ray Nam was in. Jerry Cawthon, buddy of my lifetime, we were raised together. He was playing bass for Ray. And they said, Bobby, said, go back to Canada with us. I said, man, I ain't got but 30 days and I've got to go to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Come on, you can spend that 30 days. So I did, and ended up spending about 90 days up there. And every weekend, Ray said, "We're going to throw you a party, man." He said, "You got to go back, and we're going to take care of it." And we'd do it all over again, on and on. And that last time, I said, "Ray, I can't do it, man. I've got to get back. They're going to get me for AWOL." He said, "Oh, I ain't going to bother you." I said, "Okay." But I left. I caught that plane. And I don't know why, but when I walked in, of course, I had my army suit on, duffel bag, papers, and they assigned me to headquarters battery. As soon as I walked in, I went over and stayed 30 days is all I had left after that night. And then got discharged and come home. That was it.
Well, when did you start
I knew you was
playing
going to
music?
ask
When did
that.
you first start?
I can't remember. I believe it was around 60, somewhere in there. I was young, about 17 years old or something
Well,
like that.
what got you started playing? What inspired you?
Well, when I was a kid, my dad had an old Jumbo Gibson guitar. And of course, he beat on that thing for a lifetime. He never could play it. I mean, he could do chords a little bit, you know. But then I got to beating on it, interested in it. And me and Jerry Coffin, the boy I'm telling you about, we'd go to his house, and in the back room of his house, he had a record player. And every song Elvis come out with, he'd go down there and buy that record. And we'd sit in there and beat on them old guitars. And this is the truth. A guy on Bridge Street Inn, I guess you remember where that was at back in the day, up toward the South Side Restaurant. When you passed the bypass there, going toward the South Side Restaurant, it was on the right. It's called Bridge Street Inn, little tavern. But anyway, some guy I knew went in there and told him what I could do about playing. And now I wasn't playing nothing, just beating on it. And he said, "Tell him come down here. I want to talk to him." So I went down there, took my guitar, sung one of them Elvis songs, something. He said, "I'm going to hire you, Bobby." I said, "Hire me." Now I was 12 years old in his tavern. He said, "I'm going to give you $2 a night and all the beer you can drink." He said, "But now you're going to have to go in the back and drink the beer. You can't drink it out here." I said, "That sounds good to me." So I got my buddy Joe Bill Cup. I don't know if you ever met, yeah. I miss that boy. But anyway, he went with me when I was playing there, and he got back of me and got a beer case. And he had beaten on that beer case while I was hitting that Elvis stuff. And man, they just thought that was the greatest thing ever heard in their life. But that's when I started playing out, and I never stopped from that point. I kept playing. So yeah, I've been blessed in the music. And the day I got the job with Ray Smith, I thought I'd died and went to heaven, man. He's the biggest thing that ever hit this area.
Well, tell me how you met Ray and how you started playing with him.
Well, I was playing at a place you got thrown out of, or I got in a fight at, Brass Rail.
I played there.
I know you did. I heard you comment on it, but you had to fight your way out. But anyway, yeah, I was playing there. And he come in one night, just him. He sat down at the table in front of the stage. And of course, I'd done a lot of that rock and roll, man. I'd done that Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, bam, bam, bam. He called me down there. He said, "Bobby," he said, "come down here a minute." He said, "Do you know me?" I said, "Yeah, Ray, I know who you are. Who don't know you?" He said, "Man, I need a good rock and roll guitar player." He said, "Would you be interested in going with me?" I started saying no, kidding, but I was afraid to say no, and I said yes.
And how old were you then?
I believe I was 17 when I went with him. But anyway, he said, "Be out in my house." He lived out on Lackey Street in Paducah here. At Monday morning, whatever time, and bring your clothes, your gear and everything. So I went out there at Monday morning. We all got on that bus and headed for Canada. And that was it, man. Me and him had good times. We was around her. Stanley, kind of quiet type guy. Dean Perkins, real quiet. Didn't drink. Gene Rayburn, he was a wild little child, a drummer. Boy, when he drank, he drank. I mean, he drank for months and months. But anyway,
Now, so you were not one of the original
No.
rock and roll boys.
the original,
Who were they?
the original guys that started with Ray was Raymond Jones. He was playing lead guitar. James Albert Webb, he was playing bass guitar. And Henry Stevens was playing drums. He was an old fella from Metropolis. And that was his band when he started out.
Now, Ray was playing too then, wasn't he? Or was he just singing?
He was playing guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't playing piano yet.
Right.
Of course, I don't know if he ever played piano, but he tried it.
I talked to Joanne. She said when they were getting piano lessons, Ray skipped most of his.
Oh, she told the truth. But I tell you, people didn't know the difference. They thought he could tear that piano. He got more comments. He'd get up there with his foot like Jerry Lee and stomp on that thing, and they thought he was really doing something. Of course, I did too. He was a good entertainer.
He was one of the best heel players I ever saw on the piano.
Well, I never heard him play that. He was a great guy, though, I'm telling you, man. So blessed to have met that man.
How long did you play with him then?
Probably 5-6 years.
So you all played in Canada.
Oh, God, yeah. We'd spend about 3 months a year out of Canada. We'd come home, stay maybe 2 weeks. Then we'd go to Vegas. We played Las Vegas at the Fremont Hotel. And we'd stay there about 2 or 3 months. Then we'd go to California, El Cajon, California. God, they had a big club. They had 37 acts in that building, and we played in that. And then we'd wind up, go back home maybe a week, back to Canada. That just went on and on. But we stayed in Vegas a lot.
That was before Ray moved to Canada, though.
That's where he moved. When he moved, when I quit, and that's when Stanley quit, because he wouldn't move to Canada.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, had a funny thing happened there at Fremont. We was playing, and Ray would do a song called Ahab Arab. You probably heard it, Tommy. And every time he'd get that part, he'd say, every night about midnight, I'd jump on my camel named Clyde. Well, he'd be up on his piano stool, and he'd jump off on my back and go to whipping me around. Boy, people got tickled with that. And I told Stanley last day we played, I said, I'm going to get him now. He said, what do you mean going to get him? I said, well, just watch me, I'm going to get him. Okay, so we go back in, here comes Ahab Arab. So he's up there on that stool, man, getting it, ready to go. And he makes that jump. When he did, I sidestepped him. And there was a pit down here, bartenders. The bar was down here in a hole. And he went off in that pit. He got I'm going to kill you, man. He said, you just wait, I'm going to get you. We laughed a year about that. That was funny. That's the funniest thing we ever done. But that was Ray, boy. He was spunky. He was a spunky fella.
Well, so all that time you were playing, who was in the band then?
Me, Stanley, Dean Perkins, Gene Rayburn. Well, I'll take that back. Rayburn wasn't there for all time. Bobby Buggs come in later on drums. And there's some kid from Canada. I don't remember his name, but he played an accordion. And he got killed. Ray fired him for something. I don't know what it's about. But he got killed on his way back to Canada. But man, he was good on that accordion. So that's who was playing when I played.
Did Cecil Strong play the harmonica while you were playing with him?
Cecil Strong went with us one time, and he'd do the twist on his head. Get up, twist. But he didn't play anything. I didn't know of him playing anything. But now, he done that when I played the Elbow Lounge. I played there for 5 or 6 years here in Paducah. And he'd come in there every night and get up there and do that. Charlie Burton, you ever know him? Funny guy. He'd come in and do a song about the birthday cake. It'd go, get your finger out of it, it don't belong to you. And people thinking all this other stuff, and at the end of it, it'd say, if you, I was singing this song, if you made a mistake, I was talking about a birthday cake. Get your finger out of it. And boy, people used to eat that up. I mean, that was funny. But yeah, I've played basically all my life, you know.
Now, how many instruments do you play?
Well, since I got that recording studio, I have to play a bunch of them. I play drum, bass, rhythm guitar, lead guitar, play piano, and I play a lap steel. Enough just to make music. My main instrument's always been guitar, but when I got that studio, I got so many guys wanting to come in there and record and didn't have a band. I said, well, I'm gonna have to do something about this. And I knew a little bit about piano. I could do that Jerry Lee Lewis and all that, but anyway, I play it all. Everything in there. Let me ask you a question. What do you play?
I play rhythm, lead guitar, bass. I used to play piano a lot, and I play a little dobro and I play mandolin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, God, you got that title too.
And
man.
banjo.
You got some stuff I'd like to play, but what we do, I don't get much call. Like banjo, I love banjo, man. Love it. But
I hadn't played in a while. It takes me a couple of weeks to get back to where I can play it when I pick it up.
well, it does me too. If I stay off something a while without recording, the only time I play it's when I record. You know, I don't play out anymore. And I've got a guy right now wanting me to start with him out of Cape Girardeau, but I'm not going to do it. Just too much trouble on that road.
Well, when you were playing with Ray, who all played with you? Who came in and went out?
Well, about the only change we really had was the drummer, Bobby Bugs, come in for Rabel. And I was trying to think of anybody, but Dean Perkins, he pretty well stayed with him all the way through it, and Stanley. And like I said, that boy that played that accordion, and that's the only one I remember actually changing. Now, Jerry Cothran come in later on bass guitar. He was playing with Ray when I went in the Army. He started playing bass. So I don't know who was drumming then. I expect Bugs, but I don't know.
Yeah, Jerry, when he came in off the road with Ray in 1966, I think, Jerry started playing bass with us.
Oh, he did.
With Dwayne formed a group that I was in called the Chandels. It was Dwayne Spees.
Was he the piano player?
No, he was the drummer.
There's one from Benton. I thought his name was Dwayne, the piano player.
No,
Okay.
Dwayne was Dwayne the Brain on radio.
Okay.
And then
remember him.
Jim Metcalf, who later became Dr. Metcalf, played the organ.
Okay.
And Charlie Hipkiss was the lead guitar
You,
player.
Charlie.
And I played rhythm. And then after Jim quit, we didn't have a bass player when Jim played with us because he played the bass on the pedals.
Oh, okay.
So after he quit, Jerry came and started playing with
Boy,
us.
he is a top musician.
And I found out later on that Jerry and I are cousins. I didn't know it at
You
the
and
time.
Jerry's cousin?
Yeah, we're distant cousins.
Is that right?
His mother and my grandmother were cousins.
Yeah, I'm a Joe. God, I mean, I was raised, she raised me. My mother and daddy split when I was young, just a kid. And I was at Jerry's house all the time. She cooked for us, but the second cousin, I'll ask Jerry about that. I talk to him all the time. He was one heck of a guitar player.
Oh, I
Jerry.
know it. He played some lead with us too. He was really good.
Oh, man, chord man.
He's the
Wow.
reason I play Windy and Warm.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, after he joined us, they kind of blew me away sometimes. He'd play I Left My Heart in San Francisco, Misty, and all that
Chord
stuff.
man. Kind of like Chuck Sires. You know Chuck? You don't know him. Well, he started playing with that boy that was weatherman on Channel 6. got a band.
Yeah.
What's his name? You know?
Lugiton.
That's who he played with. You talking about a card, man. And man, jazz, wow.
I remember Jerry probably would have helped me more if he knew that my grandmother and his mother were so close. But I'd ask him, I say, Jerry, show me how to do that. He'd look at me and he said, boy, you got to learn how to do it just like I did.
Jerry's a weird guy. Don't say much. Real quiet type.
Well, I called him right before I did that program at the library on Ray's Life.
Yeah.
I called Jerry and invited him.
No, he wouldn't.
And he said,
No.
Tommy, I just don't get out.
No.
I don't get out at all.
He don't go nowhere. I think his son lives out there next door to him.
Okay.
We're
Does he
glad.
still live on? Does he live on Scale Road? I think it's Scale Road.
I guess
there.
that's what you call it, out by Sharp.
Yeah, the bottom
Make a
road.
left.
Yeah,
Go to a gravel pit.
yeah.
Drive goes up to his house. Yeah, he still lives there. And his son's next door, and he takes him everywhere, groceries. Jerry don't go anywhere, nowhere.
I interviewed Keith Baumgardner also,
Yeah, no key.
and before that program, and I went to Keith's house, and he had that bass guitar, that Gibson bass guitar,
Mhm.
that's a copy of an SG.
Yeah,
I don't know what the model number is, but anyway,
you talking about Jerry?
no, Keith.
Keith had one. Jerry had one too.
Well, I
That's
told
fine.
Keith, I said, Jerry Cawthorn used to play one just like this.
Yes, he did.
He said, that's the reason I've got this one. He said, my daddy bought me a new bass, and he wanted to buy me one just like Jerry Cawthorn had.
That's it. Yep, Jerry played the exact bass. Sure did.
I remember that, and he had a Gibson SG that he played too.
Had that. I think he's still got the bass, but he said he'd sold everything else. He's got a flat top. He's got tremors. I don't know what it is, but it's a shaking condition. And he told me, he said, Bobby, every time I pick that guitar up and go try to play something or strum it in my hand, he said, I can't play. He said, I ain't played in 30 years. I said, well, and
As I remember, I had a Gemini 1 Ampeg,
oh yeah,
and I bought that in 65 or 66 at Shackleton's.
great amp, man.
And I think Jerry had a piggyback Ampeg,
He did.
and he would set that thing in a chair, and he'd get to rocking, and that chair would start moving, and we were just always ready to grab it in case that thing fell over. Yeah, he was a great player.
He was a great picker, a bass player and guitar. And he's a heck of a piano player. Most people don't even know he plays
I didn't
piano.
know that.
Well, he does, and plays good piano. His mama, Alma Jo, was a great piano player. She played in the church we went to, and God, she was good, and a good singer, man. And that's where he got all that music from, was from her. Because his daddy, he never did see his daddy. He got killed in World War II, and she was pregnant when he left. And then he got killed over there, and Jerry never did see him.
I didn't know
Just
that.
pictures of him, yeah. That's my buddy, old Jerry. But that Ray, man,
Well, did you, were you playing with Ray when he hired Stanley over in Metropolis that night at the skating rink?
no. No, I think Raymond Jones was playing guitar with him.
Had you
Somebody
already,
took Stanley over there, his daddy maybe, or somebody wanted him to,
I think he told me his uncle took him.
okay, his uncle. I knew it was somebody and wanted him to, whatever for Ray, show him how he played. And he done it and Ray hired him. But no, I wasn't with him, man. I think the same old band was still with him, Raymond, and I know that James Albert probably stayed there till he died, the bass man. Did you ever know James? No. Boy, he's a fine guy and
So-
a fine picker.
So that was before you
Before I
started.
went with
Okay.
it. Yeah. Yeah, that was way before I went with it.
Did you ever record with Ray?
I did on Sun Records. I can tell you a story on that one.
I want to hear all the stories.
Oh, I can't tell you, I ain't got time to sit her that long. But here, Me and Ray went to the Sun, and he had some reels, tape reels, and we're gonna have the song. Bill Justice, I don't know if you ever heard of him, was a horn player, and man, he had big hits. But he is on the board, and he was gonna mix these tapes that we had. Well, I don't know who was on guitar at that time. I got no idea. But me and Ray was down there, and he said, Bobby, he said, I need to take that guitar off and put you on. I don't even remember what song it was. And I said, well, yeah, of course, you know. So we done that. But that's the only one I was on. The Rockin' Little Angel, wasn't none of us on that.
Grady Martin played the lead on that.
That's exactly right. Everybody thinks Stanley was playing lead on it, which he probably could have. But it was Grady Martin playing guitar on it. But anyway, while we was down there, Bill Justice told Ray, he said, Ray, Elvis really likes your Rockin' Little Angel. Boy, he perked up. He said, yeah. He said, you think we can go meet him, Bill? Bill said, well, we'll go out there. I said, he might let me in. Of course, they all knew Bill Justice. Vester was Elvis's uncle. His name was Vester, and he was on the gate. We pulled up out there. Bill got out of the car and walked up there. Wasn't gone 2 or 3 minutes. Started walking back, and the gates come up. Raced. Oh my God, he's gonna let us in here. So we went in the house, and Bill got Elvis over, and he said, Elvis, this is Ray Smith, the guy you like, Rockin' Little Angel. Elvis, oh man, yeah. He said, I really like your song, Ray. He stuck his hand out, and Ray said, this is my guitar player, Bobby Keeling. As quick as I can get on, I probably like shook him to death. But anyway, he said, you guys just hang on. I bet it's 200 people in that house, full. He said, you guys hang on, said I'll be back in a few minutes and talk to you. Okay, well, he hit that back door and he never did come back. So that's our son of meeting Elvis. But Ray would talk every show we done, he'd tell about meeting Elvis, which I don't blame him. I was that excited too. But we did get to meet the king. So.
Well, I've got a magazine article from an entertainment magazine that Charlie Terrell gave me.
Oh, I know Charlie. Yeah.
And it says that Elvis Presley could be seen in some room in his house listening to Rockin' Ray Smith.
Yeah,
so
I believe that.
Yeah.
Because he told Ray how much he loved that song, man, that Rockin' Little Angel. Of course, I didn't hear that, but I believe it. Yeah, he would have done it. He really liked Ray. And Ray he's kind of like me getting to play with him. He was that way getting me Elvis, boy, just melted, you know. And me too. He was the king.
Well, tell me some stories about Ray.
Oh, man.
Were you in any of his wrecks?
Ben, you brought that up. Yeah, he come by the house. I was living on Locust Drive. About 3 in the morning. He come up there beating on that door. Bobby, Bobby, Bobby. I come to the door. I said, man, what do you want at 3 o'clock in the morning? He said, I need you to go to West Frankfort with me. He said, I'm going to book that skating ring up there. And he said, I've got to go over and do it in person on contract. I hesitated a little, but I said, okay. So I got dressed, got in the car with him, and Stanley was in the back seat. Stanley said, Ray dropped me off at the house. He said, I'm too tired to make that trip. Ray said, okay. So he took him off. And I knew what he was going to be because he was already high. And buddy, when he got in the car, that pedal went to the metal. I don't care what he's driving. It's wide open. So here we go, West Frankfort. We got on the highway out of West Frankfort. I guess we was 5-6 miles from town. And Ray had it wide open. A guy in a Pontiac passed him. Oh, that made him mad. Man, he got hot. And then that guy finally slowed down coming toward town. Ray ran up there and blinked his light, honked his horn. That guy pulled over and Ray got out. He said, man, what you got in this thing? That guy said, Ray Smith. Ray said, yeah. He said, I didn't think nothing I'd run that Cadillac. So he talked that guy into letting him drive the Pontiac the rest of the way to town. And I drove the Cadillac. So he got out of that, and the guy went his way. Ray got in the car, and here we went again. Floorboard, boom. But when you come into West Frankfort, there's a hill, I mean straight down, and a long hill. Well, he was still running wide open going down that hill. And maybe a quarter of a mile back, I seen a stop sign, the red and white on it. I hollered, Ray, look out, there's a stop sign down there. And he got down on them brakes and tried to stop. Wasn't no way. He said, well, we're going to make it or we won't. So he shoved her back down. Here we went. Right through the stop sign at the middle of the road, there's a coal truck coming. And it was loaded to the gill. Hit us right dead in his side, Ray's driver's side. And that Cadillac just went around from one end to the back end. It warped it that bad. The coal truck, the wheels on that coal truck just folded. I mean, just dropped straight down in the road. And that guy come up there was crying. He said, oh my God, said, you guys alive. He said, I knew you was dead. He said, I don't see how you lived. And he was all pieces. Then he noticed his Ray Smith, and he seen Ray. So Ray is a little store sitting on the corner. And they was taking Ray down. The police come out there, and they knew him. Man, we was trying to hide whiskey bottles. I mean, had them on the seat in the dash. And luckily, that old white 59 Cadillac, it had a thick dash, about that thick, man, all padding. You probably seen them. But my knee went through that padding, but it didn't hit the metal inside. So I had a sore knee. Ray wasn't hurt at all. So they got him out. He told me, he said, Bobby, wait in that store. I'll be back to get you shortly. I got in that store, waited. Got up till nearly dark again. I said, oh my God, he left me here. And then about that time, Donald Kidd pulled up. That was Lily Mae's brother. And Ray had called him to come over, and he told him, so I don't know where I left Bobby. Said, I ain't got no idea. That lady that does the booking said, Ray, there's a store out there right where you had that wreck. Said, would that be it? Ray said, that's it. So he sent Donald Kidd out there to pick me up. Man, I was hot. You want to do this? I said, no, I want to go home. I'm ready to go back. So we picked Ray up. That was nothing, but man, it totaled that Cadillac. God almighty. He was wild with it, man. We picked Rayburn up. He lived in Elmwood Court. And we picked him up, I believe it was on a Saturday or something like that. And Gene got in the car and Ray took off. Well, not 100 feet down there, some lady stopped right out in the middle of the road blowing a horn at somebody. Man, that made Ray mad. He run right up to her, hit his brakes, backed up, and hit her and back in. I don't think it caused much problem, but he let her know we was there, and then he cut out around, we was gone. But he was that way, man. He was a spunky little dude. And that's about all I can tell you about him. Well, that ain't all I can tell you about him, but I think that's about all I want to tell you about him. Sweat beginning to
So you know any more automobile stories?
Well, I know one night. Yeah, I do. We was coming in, maybe from, I don't know, but is that alone, though? Maybe a mile or two. Again, he is down here, and it's raining. He hit a slick spot, it threw us off in a big ditch, turned it over, and he broke Stanley's back. I believe it broke his back. I'm not sure of that, but it hurt him. Whatever. Of course, I was okay at that, but the bass guitar I loved. I had a little old, one of them Longhorn, cheap ones. You probably know, I can't even tell you the name of it, but it broke the neck off that thing. Man, I like cried when that happened. And Stanley was forever getting over that. And I don't know if his back don't still hurt him to this day, because he is hurt pretty bad in it. And that's about all the wrecks I can remember.
Well, now, Stanley was hurt in another wreck that they had coming back from Wycliffe, wasn't he? Hurt his back.
From Wycliffe,
That was the one where they turned over?
I think that's the one that broke his back, not the one that
Okay.
broke my base. I think you're right about that. That's just so far back, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's coming from Cairo, I believe,
Yeah.
through Wycliffe, and broke his back. Yeah, that's the time they done that. My bad.
Well, it's been, like you say, it's been a long time.
In a lot of years, man. But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't change much if I'd change anything. I've just been blessed, that's all, and can still do the music at my age. And you been blessed, man, that you still sit down there and do it. I've seen guys not near our age that couldn't even hold a guitar. They're so bad. So, yeah.
What, do you have any other funny stories that you could tell?
Tommy, yeah.
You weren't around when he ran 100 miles an hour through Hannah Plaza.
Oh, yeah.
Were
No,
you?
but I was around. I'll tell you a good one. We was coming, we played Paradise Club, Cairo. We was coming home about 3 in the morning. Of course,
Now, let me ask you something. That's one on the other side of Cairo.
Yes,
going
it is.
Okay.
Going kind of out of town down there.
I've got pictures of it. Yeah.
Buddy Harris owned it.
Okay.
And he owned the Buddy Club in Chester. We played that too. But that day we was coming, or night, we was coming out of Cairo. And of course, like I told you, foot. And here we go. Well, some guy hitchhiking right the other side of Wycliffe. And Ray said, well, give this guy a ride. Well, okay, so we let him in. Ray said, where you going? He said, La Center. That's next town down. Okay, so he got in there and the foot went down again, and I mean, he'd run 100 miles an hour, and that guy sat in the back. See, he said, hey, Ray. He said, Ray. He said, Ray, he said, what do you want? He said, you slow down to about 90 down here and I'll get out. That's the truth. That is a God's truth. That was so funny, man. We like never stopped laughing. We laughed all the way to Paducah on that one. Yeah, he said, you slow down to about 90 and I'll get out of here, little son.
What about when you played in places? Do you have any funny stories about any of the clubs or anything you played?
Got a good fight we had. We was in Michigan. And this guy knew Ray. He owned a big swanky club. And Ray, we had a night off. And he talked Ray coming in there, out there and playing. So we went out there, and it was packed. And Gene Rayburn was bad about starting trouble when he got drunk. So we sat there, everything going good. Gene got off the drums, going to take a break, went out there, and he started something with some guy. I don't know, ain't no telling what he said, guy, but the guy decked him. And when I seen it, Ray seen it, me and him come off that stage right in the middle, about 20 or 30 of them, and I mean the battle was on. Next morning, I was on the bus back in the car asleep. Ray standing up and said, Bobby. I said, man, what do you want? He said, you got to go to the hospital. I said, for what? He said, you got blood all over you, man. We got to see about it. I said, well, I ain't got blood on me. He said, yes, you have. But what had happened in that fight, some guy hit him, and his left eye swelled out about 3 inches and closed. Ray. And some guy hit me in the head with a fifth of slow gin. It's red. And that's what was all over me, was that slow gin. And he thought I was dead. So he got me away. Of course, I had a split in that head. I had to cut the hair and all around it. But man, after that, we got playing shows. And Ray had usually set his piano at an angle to where people could sing. But he got that eye, he set it back this way. And I was standing there with all the hair off my head. And man, them people looks, what's wrong with that? And that went on for 4 or 5 weeks, you know. But that was funny, too. I mean, his eye was completely shut. He couldn't open it. In my head, yeah, it looked like somebody shot me.
Oh, me.
Tommy, that's about all I got to tell you.
Well, tell me after you, so you left Ray when he went to Canada,
Yeah, when he moved.
Yeah.
And me and Stanley played together a while.
You did?
After we quit. We played Saxton at, I believe it was BFW Club. Charlie Turrell booked that and all that. So we played around a while after Ray left. And then Stanley kind of went on his own up there where he lives at that Senior Citizens or whatever it was. And I played Curve Inn up in Illinois. It's out of Metropolis, about 30 miles. I played that for 5 or 6 years. And then it burnt, and the people next door had a club, and then they hired me, and I stayed there a while. But after that, my wife didn't like all out playing, and I knew it from the start. Because all the women, you know how they are, they said, no, you want you to come on and all that. And I understood that, so I quit. And that's when I opened a recording studio. That was in Cypress. And had a lot of people record there. Hank Neverett, you ever know Hank?
I know who he is.
One of the best singers ever. I mean, that dude could, he had some songs that was knocked out. He had one that Jack Green wrote, Clothes for Repair. You ever heard? Sometime get on your computer and go over there on YouTube. Hank Neverett, Clothes for Repair.
Okay.
And all these people talking about, well, I've never seen Jack Green write a song that Jack Green wrote that wasn't good and all that. But Hank was, he's my buddy.
Did you play with Stanley at the Nocturne Club after the Elbow Lounge converted?
No. I was still playing the Nocturne when it converted. I don't remember Stanley playing there, but he might have. After I left.
Well, he was playing there. This might have been the last time he went out with Ray. I was playing in a band. I was playing lead and singing.
Okay.
And John Crutchfield called us.
Johnny?
And John was playing drums.
Yeah, I know Johnny well.
And so he called us and wanted us to audition. So we went over to the Nocturne Club and auditioned.
Okay.
And Stanley was playing. And so he took a break and we got up. And it was kind of funny. Stanley's guitar was sitting there and I said, hey Stanley, can I play your guitar?
Yeah.
He said, yeah, go ahead. So
yeah.
I picked that thing up and
Yeah.
I thought I was hitting a chord. And I thought, what's wrong with me? I can't make a chord. I looked down there and Stanley's just laughing.
Tune and E.
Yeah, tune it open E. I had no idea. So anyway, we played, I think we played 2 or 3 songs.
Well, I was probably done gone from there by then, but I played for years. I started out, I believe it was a Nocturne Club when I started out. And then they changed it to Elbow Lounge. So
No, it was a Nocturne later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm probably wrong. Been too long ago. But
Yeah, I
then I
remember.
played 400 Club a lot. Jimmy Berkeley.
Yep.
Do you ever know Jimmy?
Jimmy B.
Yes, sir. He has died not long ago.
Yeah.
He lived over there with me, and we was together all the time. He was a great singer.
Well, that Nocturne Club, when we rehearsed, or when we auditioned that night, we got the job.
Did you?
And Stanley came, I never will forget, that's the night I met him. And he came up to me and he said, boy, I sure like your singing. And man, my head swelled
Oh,
up.
well, yeah.
And so
I
we got the
ain't heard
job.
him say that too many.
Well, we played 3 nights a week. We played Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. And my rhythm player and I had 8 o'clock classes at PJC.
Oh, wow.
So we get off at 1 o'clock. By the time we go home, it was 1:30 or 2.
Go to school.
And our teacher that we had the 8 o'clock classes with, he wasn't very happy with us.
Oh, I bet
He
not.
still, I see him and he'll tell me, he say, boy, you'd have done a lot better if you'd stayed out of those old nightclubs. So
Was Doug Hill still in there when you played bartender? Called him Doug.
No, Frankie Harper. Frankie Harper was
yeah.
there. Yeah.
We had a good wreck too, riding with him, me and Carthen. He's in a little Volkswagen, and I was playing the nocturne, me and Jerry. And we got in the back seat, and he was taking Jerry to his house, and when you got up off of South 6th Street, there's a sharp turn that just turned like that. And Frankie hit that thing about 50 mile an hour, and here this VW went. Rolled over, crossed straight up against the curb. I looked over at Coughlin, and he was hanging upside down. He had a necktie on. I grabbed that tie and jerked. I was okay. But that was another one we'd look at. I had a few wrecks in my time, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you another story about that Nocturne Club gig. John, he was over at Lourdes Hospital working security until about, 3 or 4 years ago, and then he finally retired. Which John would come up. I used to go over there and eat lunch there at Subway. And John would come up and sit and talk to me, and I said, John, tell me something. Why did Stanley leave the Nocturne Club and us go in there? Because you stayed playing the drums, and the rest of the band left. He said, well, I'll tell you that story. He said, Stanley called me. He said, John, I need a drummer to Nocturne Club.
And that's Crutchfield, right?
That's Crutchfield.
Yeah.
And John said, well, Stanley, I don't have any drums, and I don't have any money to buy them. He said, well, if you'll come play with me, I'll guarantee you that, I'll stay with you, and you can get your drums paid for. So John said, okay, I'll do it. So John moves in there. He's playing drums for Stanley, and he said, Ray comes to town. And Ray starts sitting in with him. Well, John said, I knew what was going to happen. And he said, Stanley came to me one night, and he said, John, I'm going out on the road with Ray. And he said, there he left me with a gig, a set of unpaid for drums, and I didn't have a band. So he called us, and we went and filled in.
Yeah,
I never knew that story until probably 5 years ago. John told me.
I'll be darned. Now, me and his brother was big friends in young days.
Which
Jan
one?
Lynn.
Jan.
Yeah, we'd ride around all night through Paducah and had a guitar in there and sing and play. And his brother, Jerry Don, I think was A&R man for RCA.
Yep.
And he called Jan to get him to come to Nashville. And of course, you know the rest is history. He wrote, I don't know how many hits, but me and him was best of friends, really liked him. But I didn't see him anymore after he went to Nashville. He talked to somebody and told him to tell me hello and hope I was doing well and all that, but I really liked Jan. But man, that dude made it big too in that writing. And I guess they had some good records out too.
Yeah, they did.
They had a group, couldn't even think the name of them, but
I had an old Murray State newspaper for when Jerry was at Murray State. And I lost it, or I gave it to somebody, but Olin Bryant, who used to be head of Paducah Power, he and Jerry and a couple more guys had I think it was a quartet.
Yeah, they had a
sang.
quartet. Man, I know it as well as I know my name. I can't think of it. And they had a couple hits with it.
They were like
Rose
the
and Baby
Letterman.
Ruth, maybe, was the name of one of them.
It was like the Letterman and guys like that.
Something on that order.
It was a college group. They had the sweaters on, the whole bit.
Yeah.
Now, you asked me if I played golf, and I told you I played par 3 golf.
Yeah.
Well, one of the guys that I played par 3 golf with was Lee Crutchfield. Jerry and Jan and John's half-brother. And
what was his name?
Lee.
Lee Crutchfield.
He lived in the Jackson house, and he had one of these little scooters, like a wheelchair scooter.
Okay.
And he'd ride that thing over to the inner city golf course and play golf with us.
Wow. Well, they had another brother lived in Lone Oak there somewhere. I was trying to think of his name. Jerry Don Jan.
It wasn't Tommy Crutchfield, was it?
No.
And then Jenny Lou. I worked with Jenny Lou over at Allied Chemical.
I can't think of it, Tommy. Been too long ago. But he didn't like Jan Lynn, Jerry Don. because they done so well, you know. He's well, Dan Lynn's got to weigh him 300 pounds and lost his teeth, which he did. I mean, he was big, you know, but God, he got old too, you know. But I can't think of his name. But he lived there at Long Oak.
So who all have you recorded at your studio? Anybody I would know? Stanley recorded some of
Oh,
theirs.
a lot. And he's fixing to do a gospel album. We're going to do that. Hank Niblett, bunch of songs. Joe Bill, you know him. Man, he recorded tons there. And trying to think of somebody you'd probably know.
Now, Joe Bill.
Jimmy
what's
Berkeley.
Yeah.
Joe Bill Cook.
Okay, Joe
Did
Bill.
you know Joe Bill?
I know Keith.
No, Joe Bill, he played with Tanya Tucker for about
Okay.
5 or 6 years. But when he come back, he played with Stanley
Okay.
up there, wherever that is, in that senior citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was playing there with him. And he was at my house about every other day. We was big buddies. But Joe Bill, he made pretty big time too with Tanya Tucker. He made some good money with it. But you never did meet him.
I don't think I ever met Joe Bill. Now,
No, I'm
the,
surprised.
the second time I encountered Stanley, Dwayne called me. It was 72 or 73. And he said, I'm going with Stanley to Marion State Prison to do it was a New Year's or Christmas show.
Okay.
I want you to go with me, and I want you to take your camera. I want you to take pictures.
All right.
And I said, okay. So Dwayne came by and picked me up that morning, and we went out to Stanley's trailer out on Highway 60 about where CFSB Bank is.
Yeah.
And we sat there, and Stanley played us songs off his new album, and we just kept waiting. I thought, what are we sitting here for? Well, about that time, Ray walks in
Oh.
with somebody else who I found out later was Bill Pryor.
Oh yeah.
And I never knew who it was that day until I mentioned that to Bill one day. I was out at Helen's getting some stuff sewed on a coat to do that Frankie Avalon concert.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, Bill, I wonder who that was that came in there. He said, that was me.
Billy
So
Pryor, I knew him well, man.
So they came in, and then we all left. Well, I think we took 2 or 3 cars, and I remember it was Ray and Stanley, Keith,
Keep on
and Donetta Taylor. Wasn't that her name?
Who?
That blonde, Donetta Taylor,
Yeah.
that blonde-headed girl.
Yeah.
And Ray was on piano. So I guess that was all that was performing.
He went with you then.
Huh?
Play it. Ray went with you. to
Yeah,
play
Ray
it?
went with us, and Bill went with us, and we got up there, and we were going in. We were at the main guard, they're going into the prison, and I went up, and guard said, "You can't take your camera in." And I said, "Well, we've got permission from the warden."
Yeah.
He said we could take it in. He
Yeah.
said, "I don't care what the warden told you. You can't take it in." He said, "We've got our own photographer." Well, Ray comes over. He gets in an argument with the guard, trying to get him to let me take that camera in. And I never will forget. And that guard, these are quotes. He pointed his finger at Ray and he said, "Buddy, get over there and shut your mouth or you're all going home."
Oh.
So either Bill or Stanley came over and got him and said, "Come on, Ray, come on."
Oh, that was Ray. He was talking, man.
So then when we went in groups of 3. And they would raise this gate, and we would go into the little foyer there.
Right.
That gate would open. We would be between the 2 gates. Then they'd open the other one. They said, "All right, now just go over there, turn left, go down the cafeteria, and eat breakfast." Well, Ray went in before I did. So I think I went in with Dwayne. And when we came out of that place to turn left, we looked down in the gym. And there was Ray down there playing basketball
Oh.
with these great big old guys. And these guys, that was the prison that took Alcatraz's place, maximum security.
Yeah.
So these were your murderers, your armed robbers, and all this.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe he was down there playing basketball, but they loved him.
Yeah.
And then when we got in there, they said, don't get within 6 feet of the stage, the front of the stage, because these guys could drag you in there and do away with it. And Dwayne said I was just terrified because Ray kept going right out to the end of the stage.
Sure, he did.
But man, when he would get on that pen and sing, they would just,
he
it would just,
must.
the place would go wild.
Yeah.
Because they all knew
It's
him.
crazy. Everybody's crazy about Ray.
Yeah, but that was
strange on the prison for them to
yeah.
really get that sentimental with him, you know. But yeah, Ray, that would be him. He didn't care, you know, anywhere, anytime, any place. That was
Yeah,
Ray.
he was just. It didn't matter who he was with or where he was.
You
He was
ever know
one
Johnny
of them.
Forsythe,
I know the name.
drummer. He played with Ray. I guess after we didn't go back with him. I don't really know when Johnny started.
What? Who was playing with him in that picture that's down at Sun Records, sitting on that TV?
Yeah, that's my original. I've got it in the studio. That was Ray, Stanley to his left, Dean Perkins,
Yeah.
me at the top, Gene Raven, drummer on the right.
Okay.
We made that picture in Canada. And that picture you see of that bus where he's nailed down beside it on that album, we was sitting in that bus when they took that picture.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Looking
that.
out at him. Yeah. Yep, that's true.
Now, Dwight Simmons has a picture of that bus.
Mhm.
He has the original picture without the logo on the side.
Okay.
They shot that logo inside
Yeah,
that
he
picture.
got that from Judd.
Yeah.
Judd Phillips. Sam Phillips' brother.
Now, was Gene Rayburn Johnny's older brother?
Yes. Johnny and Donnie, they were twins. Did you know Donnie?
Yeah.
Rayburn, Johnny and Donnie.
Yeah.
They're all dead.
And then there was a younger girl. She would probably be she'd be in her late 60s now.
Yeah. Man.
She went with us sometimes when we played at the Nocturne Club.
Oh, really? Yeah, I know who you talking about.
Yeah.
I know her well as I know me. I can't think of her. But yeah, I remember them well. There's 2 or 3 of them girls. And Johnny, there's another, I believe his name was Eddie. Right?
Yeah.
You remember him?
Now, he was a musician too, wasn't he?
Huh?
Wasn't Eddie a musician too?
No.
I thought maybe he was.
No. But man, he was I don't know what he was, troublemaker. Well, yeah, really. Big time. But he got killed in a wreck out there pretty young.
Okay.
Eddie, that was it, Eddie Rayburn. Then Johnny and Donnie and Gene. And them girls, I swear I can't think of their name.
Was there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
My jaw's about to break now.
Well, my ears could take some more. I love
Oh,
this.
man. No, but I've really enjoyed doing it with you, man. I've
Yeah.
been looking forward to doing it. 'Cause
And your grandson, R.J. Peter Michael,
get a shot.
he's here.
He's gonna get a shot of me, you, and Tom is standing right over there together.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Yes, we can.
All right, let's
All right, we're wrapping this up. Thank you, Bobby Keeling.
Thank you, Tommy Thompson.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.